Welcome back, everybody. This week we have for you yet another very special guest. I want everyone to welcome to the show David Byrne. Welcome to the show, David.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's always cool to have someone who's creating comics, but also a co-publisher. Yeah, so that's another awesome thing too. So I can't wait to talk to you about that today. So David, first timers, we always do the origin story. I know you said you have listened to the podcast, so thanks for that. That always makes us feel good. So let's hear your origin story of what got you into writing and then publishing too. What made you want to do that?
It's it all started actually with collecting.
Okay.
My
Yep.
mom, actually, believe it or not, was the one who encouraged me because she read comics when she was little.
Mhm.
So probably 5 years old, she started getting me into collecting comics, sports cards, pretty much all of it. So that was the
So,
probably 87, 88. And
that's awesome.
believe it or not, I wrote my first comic in 1991, I guess.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
called Super Simon and Ralphie about my cat and someone else I was in school with, their cat. They were superheroes.
It's awesome.
Um, then I didn't do any comic related writing until 2017 after that. So I did a lot of prose, and in high school we had to write poetry and things like that. But my main aspiration was screenwriting up
Mm.
until probably 2012 or so when I got back into. I wrote a novel that I really focused on and got out in 2016, and then my next story fit comics better, which I'd known comics my whole life, so that was kind of where I segued and said, well, this one's not going to be a novel, this is going to be comics because it involves superheroes.
Yeah. Okay. And it's always better to, I feel like, to have a superhero story with illustration with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do anything normal, so my superhero story was actually about a psychiatrist, two superheroes. The
Oh,
superheroes were all
okay.
secondary.
Yeah. Okay. That
And
that's it.
I had the
Yeah.
brilliant idea of making the main cover just a sofa because it's called the couch, and
Okay.
I think that hurt sales a little bit because it wasn't very dynamic. It was literally just a cartoony sofa.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and was that the beginning of Scout?
No, actually, that's just a self-published, which you guys asked a little bit about what got me into publishing. It was literally doing my novel and then my first comic on my own,
Mhm.
and while doing so, I figured out how much I actually liked that whole process. And I was at a small show, and another creator, he didn't do anything more like than just kablam and some on-demand printing for his book. And I read through it and I said, "Are you doing more?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm really kind of shy about it and everything." And I read it and it needed some editing. So I said, "Well, do you want me to take a look at this, edit for you, maybe help you put more issues out?" And
Mhm.
from there, I had a friend who wanted to publish an autobiography and a kid's book, and so within a year of publishing my own book, I had already done someone else's comic, a kid's book, and someone else's autobiography, in which all of those I actually edited them as well. So it's like literally soup to nuts. I learned all of the things that you need to do to put a book out the hard way by screwing up on mine
Right.
and then doing it right for somebody else.
Mhm.
On the
That-
job training, best way.
Absolutely. Could have saved myself probably 6 months, but it's fun when you go to Barnes and Noble and you're local and you're saying, "Hey, do you guys do author signings?" "Yeah, we do." And they
yeah.
look it up and say, "Oh, you use Create Space through Amazon. Yeah, we're not going to do anything with you," because they feel like Amazon's trying to put them out of business.
Right. Right. Um,
So that was when I took a step back and I actually learned to use Ingram Spark in a different distribution model, and they're not Amazon, so bookstores don't mind working with them.
I guess that's my first time hearing about that. I don't know if you knew about that, Chris. Um, but there's so that the Amazon, was it Spark you said?
Create Space. It
Create
actually,
Space,
I
sorry.
don't
Yeah.
think it exists anymore. I think they changed it to just it's all like Kindle.
It's
It's
Oh,
Kindle something now
Kindle
because I
Direct, I
played
think, or
around
something.
with it for a
Okay.
little bit.
Yeah.
okay. So it's almost like two different um delivery systems that are more marketed to Amazon than like local bookstores.
Yep, it's interesting because when you go through Amazon, the bookstores can still purchase them,
Mm-hmm.
but they prefer that you go through one of the other distributors like Ingram Spark.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I think the um, just quick back to the origin, the most fascinating part of it for me was your mom got you into comics.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I used to get the Wizard magazines and the Overstreet when I was
Yeah.
little, and I showed her because Amazing Fantasy 15 was like it was like $1,500 or something like that.
Oh God,
And that was
that's
like a
it.
near mint version, and I showed
Yeah.
it to her. I showed her the picture, and she's like, "Oh, I had that."
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
what? She's like, "Oh yeah, I used to buy all the Spider-Man comics right when they came out, but my of course, same old story, her mom threw them out."
Oh God.
So I don't think I've told this story on the show before, but my father, like back when he was a kid, they would get comics here and there, and you go through the same Overstreet list, and you start going through, starting with Amazing Fantasy and going down. He's like, "Oh yeah, we had all those. We just threw them out." And it just burns my soul
Yeah.
knowing that those were in possession of my family.
Yeah.
And not even that I want to sell them and make millions. I would love that too, but just to know that they were in possession of the family, and it was just like, oh yeah, because it was just seen as I read it. Okay, I'm done with this. It's not something you collect. So
Right. You just toss it out.
I was actually thinking about that the other day. There's that whole thing. Oh, if I had a time machine, I'd go back and buy all these things and stash them somewhere. I was thinking the way they treated them back then, you could just go wait until somebody threw it in the trash and just take it,
Right.
and you wouldn't even mess up the timeline. It wouldn't be
Right.
missing because it would have
Right.
just been in a trash heap.
Exactly. Yeah. You wouldn't disrupt like then you like steal a couple comics and then the Nazis take over. So it's just
Exactly.
like the chain reaction. But
it'd
um,
probably be a positive reaction because there'd be less in the landfill.
Yes, we're doing our part for the planet.
yeah, yeah, the fossil fuel, like everything's gasoline. Fossil fuels are back on track. Um, so after the couch, what was the next project? Was that Spy Deer Man or Shady Place?
I did well. Shady Place was first. That was my novel,
Okay, that was a novel.
which like I surprisingly I actually sell at least a copy of that at every convention I go to, even though it
Wow.
has absolutely nothing to do with comics.
Hmm.
That one's about a retired cop from up north who moves to a 55 and up in Florida and
Oh,
finds
okay.
out his neighbor's the mob boss he chased his whole career, and then
Oh,
they basically team up to solve a murder. So it's kind of a buddy comedy. Um, but I
that's
always have someone who comes and they're like, "Oh, what's this? It's a novel at a comic show."
yeah,
And
yeah, exactly. I
it
have
has
to buy
nothing
it.
to do with comics because everybody brings someone who
Hmm.
wants nothing to do with what's on these tables. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
that seems to always work out. But Steak and Spider-Man were kind of going at the same time.
Hmm.
But then the art was just going so slow on Steak. Spider-Man kind of lapped it for the first issue,
Yeah,
and they came
right.
out at the same time.
Okay.
But for now, my main focus is Steak just because it's going to the direct market and doing the publishing work and also having a regular job too.
Hmm.
It
Right.
makes it hard to focus on multiple creative aspects.
Hmm. Hmm. For sure. So let's talk Steak. I mean, third issue comes out next week, but I mean, what is it? Give us the lowdown here.
Okay, here's my convoluted version of
Perfect. That's what we want.
a
Yeah.
horrible pitch because I'm
Yeah.
terrible at pitching. But it's a modern day vampire story where a teenage girl basically witnesses her best friend have his heart ripped out on national television or live streaming.
Mm.
And 3 years, so she fast forwards 3 years. She's part of the Vampire Bounty Hunting Union and basically devoted her life to helping bring in and register vampires because now they are a thing, and it's basically you guys can exist, but you need to let us know who you are, kind of like a sex offender. but but she teams up with a an old vampire because they have accountability. One human, one vampire. So either way, when they're out doing their job, no one gets too extreme on either a vampire or a human.
Mm. And I mean, I got my hands on the first issue and the that splash page of like we've always known about vampires, and then you have like all the iterations of that. So I found the art really interesting. Can you talk about like the choice you had for that?
Yeah, I had my first artist. We actually kickstarted it with a different interior artist,
Okay.
March of last year, and he did a really scratchy black and white with just a little bit of red every once in a while. and I really liked it. When I decided I wanted to also do a spin-off at the same time to kind of let him draw the main series, have someone else draw a spin-off, so we could basically he could have time to draw while the other person drew something, and we could still have releases going and stay kind of in the public's mind. The idea was to basically do that black and white with color splashes. And when Francesca took over, you've seen in the issue 1, she does way more than just black and white with red here and there for blood.
Right.
She actually tries to tie in the emotion of the scene and things like that. She did the spin-off first for me, just the one issue of it. And the first page she turned in, it's set in the 18th century, and they're in a tavern, and it's all black and white except there's candles like everywhere, just with this nice tiny flames, and then it just gets better throughout the entire issue. So,
oh wow,
I know color sells better, but I haven't had a single person complain about the way we chose to go with this. I think it just fits the tone of the story.
Yeah, I think the black and white for sure works, and yeah, I think the tone. It definitely does set the tone, and it's like, I mean, you start the issue, no spoilers really. I mean, you said it in the pitch, but you started off with, vampires have been revealed to the world, right? So, and then we kind of go from there. But the black and white does add something to it, I think. I don't think it really takes away from the story. I also like the idea of like, you don't have square panels everywhere, the page layouts or the setups for each page. I like the way it's structured like that. I think that fits the story as well.
Yeah, that's a mix between me and Francesca.
Okay.
So I do pretty well laid out pages. So it's like page 1. Obviously, that's a one page splash. But if you have 7 panels, I'll give kind of direction on the size of the panels. But then tell her if she can think of something better, go for it, and obviously don't be bound by rigid boundaries, because she has things coming out of panels. She has very few of the panels are just straight edge. There are a couple of pages where we did that just because it fits what's happening with the story on that. If we're showing the reflection of a video through someone's phone, it does make more sense to do it more rigid with the the squared off panels. But if it's an emotional fight scene, you don't need straight edges. It actually helps build on the action.
Yeah, it's always nice when artists take the time to really put some thought and appreciation into their panel layouts. I mean, we can go with the straight 9-panel grid or 4-panel grid or whatever, but I always find that I'm more drawn in when we play around with those panels and even like the borders and how they're laid out and everything. So it's nice to see that both of you took some time to appreciate that.
And I mean, as far as vampires go, what made you want to do a vampire story? Is that just something you've been a fan of, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, anytime, even if it's like a bad vampire story on, you see on cable or whatever,
like
I
Twilight?
stop and watch it. I watched the first one just out of what I considered market research back at the time.
Yep.
And then I got, outside of the sparkly vampire thing, which really threw me for a loop. I was like, okay, this just kind of is. I don't love it or hate it. That one. But then I got stuck watching the second one on a plane, and there's like a 15-minute scene where she's staring out a window, and I was like, what is happening with this?
Yeah.
I had to turn it off. I was like, I'm just gonna watch nothing instead of
right. It's funny you brought that up, because like recently I'm trying to marathon them, and I got to the second one. I had to take a break because it's just a whole lot. Like, I like vampires and vampire movies, and there wasn't a whole lot of that. I think that was my biggest problem. But you kind of it seems like you bring all of it together, though, of all the different genre of vampire movies, or not genres but iterations, I guess, right? You're trying to touch on all of that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's you don't ignore what preceded you. I mean, we basically acknowledge it. The biggest difference is in our story, they're not supernatural. They're just a step in evolution. So they've just been smart enough to try to hide themselves for thousands of years.
Right.
And to me, I don't recall any stories where they were actually, just a step in evolution.
Hmm.
So I even try to include some of the science along with it
Right,
along the
right.
way
Yeah.
without beating you over the head with it, which, I may like do a couple of pages of like a textbook or something that we slide in
Hmm.
the back of some issues in the future, but for now it's just going to be revealed as we go, the little nuances of vampire life.
Okay.
Awesome.
You're not going for like the alien worms from space, like Strain or anything like
You
that.
you spoiler, man. No.
Ah, sorry. But I thought it was interesting because like and that's how the first issue really gets you is okay. You've established there's vampires, but they're treated more like mutants, like you said, like a step in the evolution, but also that there's a spotlight on them. Like, the world is known about vampires through movies and TV and books and stuff, but now it's like, oh crap, they're real things. And from what we've known in the media, we should be terrified of them, right?
Mhm.
They're all bad. Um, I is that kind of the sense you're is every vampire going to be bad in this book, or is there going to like some that toe the line, or
I think they're kind of all over the place.
okay?
You've got the good, the bad, I'm not going to say the ugly. The
I was waiting for it.
you've got the ones who've wanted to, basically be known for centuries. You've got the ones who are happy just hiding.
Mhm.
In issue 3, we do make the comparison. This is not a huge spoiler that one of the vampires, it's basically he's black, so he's basically had a long time in America where it took him a while just to get to the point where he didn't feel like he was being oppressed for the color of his skin.
Oh
Then all
wow.
of a sudden, vampires come out, and now it's right back. He's almost feels like he's back to square one, where now because he's a vampire, people hate him.
Yeah. Wow. That sucks. Wow. Yeah, it's
Pun
like, oh,
intended.
yeah, yeah, for sure, pun intended. I spent hundreds of years trying to get back to, normal, like being treated like a normal person, and now here I am again. That's an interesting take, and the spin-offs associated with it too. I know you did that for one of the characters. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so Jessamy is actually Angel or Stake's partner in the
Hmm.
main series. So I haven't given her an actual age, but she's basically thousands of years old.
Okay.
Um, so she has a lot of written history that we can go through and just tell interesting stories.
Hmm.
And we did a spin-off set in the 18th century where she's in England, and over in the New World, there are rumors of monsters that are eating the slaves on the plantation. So
Oh,
this story travels across the Atlantic to where she works, and they send her to the New World to go track it down and see what's going on. Because
okay.
basically, if they're hearing it there, people are hearing it in in the colonies, and
Yeah.
they want to squash it as quickly as they can.
So do you see doing a lot more with this series, or do you have a confined like 4, 8, so on and so forth issues that you want to do?
I have 4 arcs planned for the main series
Hmm.
that would basically tell the story of what's going on specifically. And then, I mean, it's a vampire story, so literally we could just go on forever. I've got almost
Right.
infinite spin-offs we can do.
Okay. Yeah.
As long as it makes sense to do it, I'll keep doing it. I know Francesca, the artist, has she's committed. She loves the series, so she wants to be around as long as possible. And I told her if we finish this one, we'll find something else to work on too. But
Okay.
it's going to be a long time before this one's done.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool to hear.
So on the publishing side, what else has Scout got going on right now?
Oh, we've got a lot going on.
Hmm.
So this time last year, as you know, everybody was full swing in the pandemic. We were just suffering. Diamond had shut down,
Hmm.
and we launched a retailer direct program because we were actually able to still. We never stopped printing during the pandemic.
Oh.
Our print company is like 5 miles from our headquarters,
Oh
and
wow.
they were deemed essential, so they never had to shut down or anything.
Hmm.
So the shops that were open and the ones that were, just doing the online sales and everything, we made it where they could just order directly from us, and we've continued to do that for the last, I guess we're right at a year, because I think we did our first one in May for a June delivery,
Okay.
and it's been excellent to supplement our diamond orders with a retailer direct, and
Yeah.
then I guess our first orders are going out now. We're the first non-DC company on Lunar.
Mm.
So we're
Okay.
now on FOC. When stores go to order their DC books, the Scout books are mixed in with them.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Cool.
And on top of that, we've just done we've signed a deal with Universal, which is a Canadian distributor.
Oh, that's awesome.
So plus we do subscription boxes every month. So any of our new titles, and if we didn't have 12 that month, we actually will put in a number one of an older series to kind of give somebody an opportunity to start something and maybe pick up a series they missed down the line.
Oh, that's a really cool idea.
And you guys did Stabbity Bunny, right?
Yes, that was the first real hit for Scout.
Okay.
Okay, because I wanted to shout this out too, because I remember during the throes of the pandemic when Diamond was shut down, you guys also did a program where if you ordered through the website and put the name of your local shop, you kicked some of that back to the shop. I actually bought a few of your stuff that way and kicked it back to my local shop. So big shout out there, because when everybody else was kind of scattering to figure out what's going on, you guys were still supporting the local shops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it ended up being thousands of dollars that we paid out to shops, which was fantastic because
Hmm.
we charged our regular price and we gave half of it to the shop.
That's so awesome. And then you guys are doing this while the big two are kind of like, well, we're just gonna not get books to you guys right now.
Oh, they said pencils down.
Yeah, right. We're just gonna stop everything. So that's actually, I mean, what a time for you guys to get up and running and then have such awesome success. So really glad to hear that you guys are doing well. So um and yeah, for just to get back to Steak, when is that next issue coming out? Next week, right? Next Wednesday?
Yep, the 12th.
Okay. And you can just tell your local comic shop to order those, just like normal comics, right?
Oh yeah, we're in Diamond,
Yep.
now Lunar. Basically, the Tuesday night before books go on sale, if you need, you can come to our website. If you don't have a
Hmm.
local comic shop, we put them up there. That everything will be cover.
Hmm.
If you pay attention, we constantly have sales. We just had a 50% off flash sale last week.
Oh, damn. I didn't see that one. I would have ordered a lot.
There were a lot of orders. I get an email every time someone orders something.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you just had your inbox filled up.
Oh yeah, and my phone buzzes. It's gets crazy.
Um, and as far as digital goes, are all your titles planned to be digital as well, or how's that work for you guys?
Yeah, we do everything digital on our website.
Hmm.
So we usually knock $1 off the cover price, or trades. It's usually even more than that.
Hmm.
Uh, but we're working on getting everything on Comixology. We didn't go the traditional route a lot of smaller publishers do, which is you just go in the back page and you submit and upload.
Right.
We wanted to get in the searchable by publisher.
Hmm.
So we've been working with them for a few months just to try to get that in. Once we've got everything sorted out, we'll be uploading a lot of titles.
Okay.
But they also
Okay.
want a lot of metadata and things like that.
Hmm.
So it's a gathering process. So
Hmm.
we've been a little behind. That's probably where we've, as a company, failed the most, is getting a better digital presence.
Okay.
But we got on Madefire, and then it looks like Madefire is having some financial issues. So
Mm.
that platform might not be around much longer. But we hope it comes back, because it's really cool. They actually do motion comics too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never checked those out. Um,
And anyone that's going to the local comic shops to pick up issue 3, are there still copies of 1 and 2 available for them to order?
On our website there are, and there's also a second print of number 1. Should be hitting the 19th, I think.
okay, that's awesome. Yeah, so that's really cool, and to see you guys doing well. And like you said about the digital thing, that's something about a couple years ago, I went all digital, and so for me, for when I want to look up indie publishers like you or like Ahoy Comics, um, on Comixology, that's what I'll do. I'll type in a publisher name and then look for all the titles that they got going on, like just stuff I haven't heard about or stuff I missed previously. So that'll be huge for you guys, I think, to get that up and running.
Yep, absolutely. And the other interesting thing we're doing is to kind of tap into the collector's market. We're doing an offshoot company called Comic Tags,
Oh,
where basically it's going to be one of the nicer covers from a particular title, and it's going to be like a trading card. It's the size of a credit card, but it has a scratch-off code on the back, and you can download the trade paperback of the book.
Oh,
So for
okay.
$6.99, you'll get a collectible card and basically a digital download if you want. So
That's really cool.
then with the collector's market, we figure some people will just leave them unscratched, so you'll have the collector's version too.
Yeah.
That's an awesome idea, especially I could see that being really big at cons as well. People being like, well, I'm only digital only. Well, I got this for you.
Yeah. That
Yeah, and the
I
price
hate
is competitive
yeah.
with the actually paying for the digital version when you actually now you'll get something tangible. And right now it's just Scout, but we're actually it's like I said, it's kind of an offshoot company, so we are going to be pursuing other publishers. So someday maybe you'll see a Marvel or DC comic tag.
Yeah, probably. I kind of hate you for doing that though, because like I had gotten into collecting trading cards after the comics because like I need to collect something. Then I was like, I don't really have room for those. But now you've taken collectible cards and mixed them with digital comics, so it's like, well, here I got to make space for this.
But you can put them all in a shoebox, isn't that what you're supposed to do?
That's true. Yeah, yeah, that was it. I was like, oh, cards are a lot easier to collect because I can put them in a binder. And then it was like, wow, these binders are taking up a lot of space.
So you bought a lot of cards. Is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
then I bought a lot of cards. Awesome. Well, David, yeah, thanks so much, man. If we want, obviously we could send everybody to scoutcomics.com, or is it scout.com?
Yep, scoutcomics.com.
Yep. And if they want to follow you and all the cool stuff you're doing, where can we send them?
I have a website, davidabyrne.com.
Okay.
I've got basically Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere you want to look for me, it's DAB282. So I know it's real creative and doesn't even make sense because the numbers mean nothing.
Yeah.
But it was my email address from 27 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I've never changed it.
Yeah. We've had some weird emails or like, ats on Twitter. And sometimes the stories are just wild. Why, how they get there. But yeah, we won't hold you to it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I wish mine was more interesting, but it's a friend set up my AOL Instant Messenger of all things.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And because DAB 12 was what I used for everything and it was taken, he picked numbers. And then I come to find out that it's because my birthday's March 82.
Okay.
So like this doesn't even line up with my birthday or anything.
Right.
It was the girl he liked. It was her. It matched her screen name was like Swimmer 282 or something.
Oh,
so
boy.
Did that. I'm like, all right, so now she's gonna think I like her or something.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. You used to do stuff like that on AIM though. That's really funny.
Those are the good old days.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody, I'll have the links to David's website and a link to where you could purchase issue 3 right through Scout in the comment section, the show notes down below. So make sure to check those out. Dave, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks.
It was great. The book's awesome, and best of luck moving forward with it.
Thanks, guys.